Posted by you/Aunt to Alice. AITA for laughing and saying sounds about right when my brother and sister-in-law told me how exhausted they are with my out-of-control niece. My brother Ron and sister-in-law Jen have spoiled their daughter Alice rotten since she was a newborn. Since Alice was a toddler, everyone in the family has told Ron and Jen they need to teach Alice boundaries, but they insist they're the ones in charge of Alice. I often babysat Alice when she was young. I would tell Ron and Jen that Alice was not behaving, and they would respond by shaming me for not getting Alice exactly what she wanted or pushing her so hard because I told her to pick up the toys she threw on the floor. Note: Alice was 7 when this happened. Eventually, I refused to babysit Alice and they insist I was being a bad aunt because I was expecting so many adult things from a baby. Ron and Jen did all of Alice's homework and class projects for her. They frantically called me one night because the math tutor canceled, and Alice's homework had a pre-calculus question that they weren't sure how to do the work for. I sent them the work for it that one time, but after that, I would refuse too. Alice is now 17 and completely out of control. She screams, curses, and flips off her parents until she gets her own way. She is unlicensed and dented Ron's car several times when stealing it for joyrides. She has stolen both Ron and Jen's wallets for shopping sprees. They have caught Alice partying, drinking, vaping, and sneaking out to boys' houses. She has gotten even worse since her junior year. Ron and Jen still do her projects or pay others to do them, but the material is now too specific for Ron and Jen to understand without class notes, which Alice isn't taking for them. Alice did not pass her junior year, and she is angry because now all her friends are doing senior things that she can't join in on. Ron and Jen called me the other night to tell me how exhausted they were because Alice was illegally driving again, and they had to beg an officer not to send Alice to juvie. They talked about how wild all teens are and they're not sure where their sweet little girl went. I thought that last part was a joke and a laugh slipped out before I could stop myself. Ron got angry and asked what I thought was funny. I apologized for laughing, but I responded that Alice's behavior sounded about right because did they expect Alice to just magically become responsible and well-behaved when they have always rewarded her bad behavior? Ron and Jen started to yell at me, but I hung up. Many of my friends and family members said Ron and Jen are only angry because they didn't like hearing the truth. But most of the family is saying I have no idea how hard it is to be a parent, much less have a child like Alice. And even though the laugh slipped, I was cruel to respond to Ron and Jen that way knowing how exhausted they are. Now I'm conflicted about if I was being a dick to my exhausted brother and sister-in-law. AITA? Now on to some comments. Posted by hot_cockroach 9002, NTA. Why would you lie to family to make them feel better about their mistakes? Until they are willing to admit their mistake, they'll just have a bad child. False Explanation 702 responded with, they expect to be coddled the way they coddled their child. Rejecting reality is apparently a family value there. Novel Available 35 responded with, the wet lettuce approach to punishment hasn't worked out well for them. Betrayed_orphan responded with, that's because overly wet lettuce rots the fastest. Posted by Lunchbox 3, honestly, I don't know where they go from here. She's almost an adult. They have completely failed to help Alice in developing any kind of emotional resilience, work ethic or social skills. I mean, it's got to be a totally crushing thing to accept, that you've totally failed and screwed over your child. Now instead of being a well-adjusted teen prepping for adulthood, Alice is either going to be a totally dysfunctional adult or have to do a huge amount of work to overcome years of living in a fake reality. OP not the AH, but honestly, I don't know what the parents can do at this stage. Posted by Nothrow, NTA. And yes, parenting is indeed hard, but yet most people seem to manage to not raise kids with zero respect who are literal criminals, joyriding, stealing. Becoming_a_crone responded with, piggybacking a top comment to add that yes, parenting is hard, but the consequences for doing a bad job are off the charts. So, you need to just suck it up and do it right. You're not your child's best friend, you are their parent. Your child does not exist to validate you or correct your fallen dreams, they are a whole unique individual who will lead their own adult life one day separate from you. There is no such thing as a perfect parent, you just need to be good enough as in, good enough to not create an absolute nightmare. Agitated_cheek 4890, this is an excellent comment. Parenting is constant hard work for years and years. Some kids turn out fine regardless, but some need constant management, or they'll turn out like Alice. The consequences of not putting the effort in are significant. Now on to the next story. Posted by you/Taita 19082022. AITA for exposing an entitled neighbor? TA, family and friends of my main. I, 30M, live alone in a May house, and working as an engineer, I decided to spoil myself with a nice sports car. It is a 2021 Aston Martin Vantage with manual transmission, for those into cars. It has only 2 seats. Since it is a rear-wheel drive car with a decent amount of power and I live in Canada, I decided to get a crappy SUV, an old Ford Escape, to use during the winter. During the summer, I use my sports car daily and just leave my winter beater getting dusty. One of my neighbors, mid-20 SF, recently got divorced and became a single mom. Her financial situation got bad, and her ex-husband kept their car. Seeing her struggle, I let her use my winter beater during summer. She was thrilled and thankful. One day of summer, winter beater broke down. Not a surprise. My neighbor was really sad, and when we took it to the mechanic, the repairs would cost more than the car, so it was not worth it. My sports car takes most of my money anyways. I live with not too many things nor luxuries except my car. I am not exactly rich. I decided to junk it and winterize my sports car. My neighbor didn't like this decision. I said that I wouldn't be paying to repair it and sadly she wouldn't have a car anymore. She said she had a trip planned with her kids and asked me for my Vantage. I of course refused it, mentioned that she wouldn't be able to drive it, too much power, manual transmission, RWD, and it was also a 2-seater, which wouldn't fit her kids anyways. I also don't let anyone else drive it, it's my baby, let alone for a vacation without me. She stormed back to her house, and I simply donated my winter beater to a charity. She posted a long rant in a Facebook group of our neighborhood saying I am a bad neighbor and how I denied her kids a vacation. I replied it mentioning she doesn't even know how to drive a manual car, it is ridiculously dangerous for someone inexperienced to drive it, and it is a 2-seater. I told her she would be an irresponsible mom if she just put both her kids in the passenger seat, not only dumb and illegal, but dangerous, and that I have no responsibility in giving my car for 2 weeks for her to go on a trip, no matter the car. It was a massive reply. I also told I was disappointed with her way of thinking for assuming I would just provide a car for her when I have nothing to do with her life. The winter beater was a favor, and she has been acting entitled for thinking I would provide my Vantage for her. Everyone else sided with me and roasted her brutally. Lots of neighbors congratulated me for my decision, but some told me I went too far and should have just ignored her or just said please remember it is a 2-seater, your kids won't fit. A few friends and relatives also told me it was an A move to do this and that I don't understand the struggles of being a single mom. AITA for exposing her in such an aggressive manner? Now on to some comments. Posted by Erluna911. NTA, she was aggressive and instigated by posting. You responded and shut it down. Sometimes people need a dose of the medicine they're trying to dish out. OP responded with, thank you. Yeah, it was pretty frustrating to see her going in a public attack even though I gave her tons of reasons why I would not let her have my sports car. The 2-seater factor should be enough. Glad I did well. Meeple_people responded with, the no should have been enough. OP responded with, indeed, I read lots of comments in this sub saying that no is a complete answer. But I tried to be polite and gave her reasons why she wouldn't be able to go to a trip with my Vantage. I even left the I just don't want you and your kids in it out for politeness. Posted by Silver Dragon 505. NTA. She attacked you, very publicly and at length because you made the mistake of trying to help her out for a while. How dare you? You were absolutely in the right to defend yourself with the facts. In fact, you probably did others a favor. You reminded people what the adage no good deed goes unpunished means and what the consequences can mean. OP responded with, after seeing how ungrateful she was, I was kinda happy that my winter beater lasted just 2 months in her hands. Of course, I regret it for letting her use it anyways. Thank you. Silver Dragon 505 responded with, been there. People get much angrier at the friend who helps them out for a while as a favor and then needs to return to their own life's needs, than they do at the friends who never offered to help them out at all. The irony. OP responded with, that was a sad but valuable lesson for me. Posted by Nevin57. Not at all. You went way past being a good neighbor by allowing her to use the old beater but to hand over keys to a Vantage. Mate. Nobody deserves that. NTA. You informed her privately why you refused the request, she went public you replied, that's fair, she opened the gate, you walked through it. OP responded with, when she requested my Vantage, I almost thought it was a joke, but she was serious. But, yeah, thank you for your reply. I guess that was fair game. Satanic Freeholders responded with, I am enjoying the fantasy of this silly woman thinking she could just hop into a manual transmission and tootle on down the road. I learned to drive in an Alpine Sunbeam, and it wasn't easy at first. One reads about carjackers who make the mistake of jacking a stick shift they can't drive. It's always an amusing story. OP responded with, "The Vantage is even trickier. The first gear is left back. The left forward is reverse. All the forward gears are even gears, and pushing the lever back gives you odd gears. The seventh gear is right back. Even though I drove manuals my entire life, it took me some time to get used to this. I admit that a few times I put in reverse while trying to engage first gear. Luckily, I always noticed quickly and never accelerated and wrecked the car." Posted by GW2K Pro. If anyone criticized you for your response, tell them to either loan this woman their car indefinitely or to kindly STFU. NTA. OP responded with, "That is a pretty good response. Apparently, for some, the fact that I let her use my old Escape means that I need to provide her a car whenever she needs." Anxious Spinal Cord responded with, "Some people really don't put their foot down or think they are this rad dude when they kindly need to STFU since it's not their money/objects." Jawolification responded with, "Some are sick in the head." Posted by Chap Steve 711. NTA. Despite her struggles, she was being entitled. I'm starting to see why she is divorced. OP responded with, "We never had that much of a close interaction between each other, so I didn't know she was this entitled. Otherwise, I would have kept my winter beater. But yeah, her divorce was kinda bad, and I can imagine how it is to live with her. Thank you." Max the Ginger responded with, "First 100% NTA. But since you posted here, if you wanted to appease your friends who said you were TA, you could post something to the effect of, 'I'm sorry that I am no longer able to help you. I can bet that going through a divorce, trying to be a good parent, and do the right thing for your family is hard. Maybe one of the kind people in our community can lend you their family's second vehicle, or their minivan/SUV for the vacation, or until you are able to find a vehicle of your own. One of two things happen: someone lends her, gives her, or sells her a vehicle. Or no one, including the people who said your TA, help her. And then if they bring it up, you have apologized for dragging her and put it on her hardship, not her. B can point out there and everyone's lack of help. Now on to the last story. Posted by you/Kumquatesk. WIBTA for abandoning my family to go to Iceland and potentially causing a divorce? I, 18F, have planned and paid to go on a 3-week volunteer trip to Iceland with my plane leaving in a little over 12 hours. I have been trying to get my mom's permission to go on said trip for weeks, and she is just incredibly resistant, refusing to budge. I have never once committed an act of rebellion, and this was going to be it for me. By the start of this summer, I had saved up $13K from working. $4K went to help my family of 5 go on a 4 1/5 week vacation in Europe, that we returned from last week. I leave for Stanford in late September, and my college tuition and everything is pretty much paid for. Unfortunately, now my dad is begging me not to go because it will send my mom into a rage-fueled tailspin, and that he is just so mentally exhausted that he can't handle it. At the start of our last vacation, we all found out that my older brother had an opioid addiction when he went on withdrawal. My mom has been very unhinged from that point on, as dealing with that whole issue has been emotionally taxing on both my parents. Truthfully though, my mom has always been kind of unhinged, in that she has anger/control management problems, and the rest of the family is 99% convinced that she is bipolar. She is incredibly mercurial. I don't think she has ever gone a day without yelling at least once or at the very least critiquing/insulting. She is a woman who is easy to like, but for her inner circle, she can be incredibly hard to love. During the vacation, I don't think there was a single day that there wasn't a fight of some kind. It could have been related to my brother's addiction or it would just be marital spat. I am absolutely convinced that my dad has grown resentful for the fact that, for years he has always had to placate her anger because she is just such an uncompromising individual. I think she doesn't want me to go in part because I leave to study across the country in a month, but she literally spent half of the vacation ignoring me because she was upset. She is definitively mentally unstable and has broken down numerous times in the past few weeks. Her family has a history of mental illness that came with a very abusive environment growing up. During her recent meltdown/panic attacks, my dad or myself try to calm her down, and it's difficult, especially when she spoke of doing some unmentionable things to herself a couple times. She then has a penchant for just ignoring what happened shortly thereafter and refusing therapy. I really don't know what to do because I don't think it's fair to me to sacrifice something I've worked so hard to do for myself independently, but my mom will literally go crazy, and my dad will be left to deal with her despite him begging me not to put him through that. I also don't want her to lose it again, or for my little sister to have to witness anything more. I know it would be selfish to go, but WIBTA? Edit, my mom really does love us, and since my dad has to travel for weeks to months at a time due to work, she has always worked hard to take care of us. She just needs to unlearn some abusive behaviors and get therapy because she isn't all okay mentally. Also, I contributed the vacation money out of my own accord because, after supporting me for so long, I wanted to do my part for it not to be a financial strain. I mentioned it to just communicate some of the responsibility I've shown. Now on to some comments. Posted by Hard Rainey's Falling. NTA, and do not ever let your dad, or any other adult, make you think that it's your job to fix your parents' marriage, or to sacrifice yourself for them. Your father is a big boy. If he has been unhappy for years, he could get off his ass and hire a divorce lawyer. Why did you, a teenager, pay for your family to go on vacation? OP responded with, "It was a very expensive trip, and I felt bad for letting him pay for it all himself. They never asked me, but I felt like I needed to do my part to make it easier on them. I feel bad for him because he has put up with it all for us kids. With my big brother's addiction, they're both trying to get him back on the right path, but my mom's volatility means that he has to always be calm and try and ground them both, you know?" Hard Rainey's Falling responded with, "Honey, you're a child. His child. He chose to marry your mother. He chose to have children with her. He, horribly, chose to raise children with her even after witnessing her behavior toward you all. None of those things were your choice, or your responsibility. Go to college. Get therapy. And put these people in your rearview mirror." OP responded with, "I swear she isn't that bad, I really do love her, and I know she loves and cares for us all very deeply. She was raised in a horrible environment, and just hasn't unlearned the damage of certain behaviors. The biggest problem is that mentally, she is not okay. Sometimes I have gotten her to accept going to therapy post-breakdown, but it never sticks, but I really think that if she got professional counseling, she'd be so much better." Hard Rainey's Falling responded with, "Oh sweetie. I'm a mom. The worst day of my life would be the day my daughter thought she needed to apologize for me abusing her. It doesn't matter why she does it. She's a mom. It was her job to get the help she needed before she hurt her kids. No one as young as you should have to shoulder this kind of burden." Next _astronomer 2166 responded with, "As a person who was raised by narcissists, in a beyond extreme neglectful and abusive environment, and now that I have a child of my own, I completely agree with this. It absolutely is your mom's responsibility to get professional help for herself before she hurt her kids, whether that was before she had kids or while you were growing up. You are not responsible for your parents, or anyone, harming you. She'll always be your mom, and it's understandable that you love her, regardless of how she's treating you and treated you in the past. However, it's not okay that she, or your father, is treating you this way. Love them, but like they tell you on the plane, put on your own oxygen mask first." Posted by Nervicid6216. NTA. You're 18. If you want to go, then go. If your parents divorce over this, then they were doomed for divorce anyway. I do recommend that you remove any money from any bank account that's jointly held with your parents or that they set up for you and may have access to. You would be well advised to get a new bank account at a totally different bank, lest your mom take all your money for your own good. OP responded with, "The second I turned 18 I opened my own bank account and cards, so that shouldn't be a problem, but I don't think she would do that anyways. Funnily enough though, my current persuasion tactic is trying to bribe her lol. I've pledged my next paycheck, which I think got her thinking, but a fight blew up shortly after that, so no good." Lifeforms responded with, "My current persuasion tactic is trying to bribe her lol. I've pledged my next paycheck. Honey, that's not normal. I've never bribed my mother to placate her. You don't give sweeties to a child having a tantrum, and that's essentially what this equates to. She needs help, you need to get on and live your life, and you need to get on that plane. You're being emotionally abused. You can love her to bits, she can love you back, but her actions are not a part of a normal family upbringing. At this point, if you allow this to continue, you will be always doing this. When you're moving out, when you're getting married, with your kids, all the rest of your life she will be like this if you don't set boundaries." Posted by _go_back 1984. NTA. I will also tack on to everyone else's advice and tell you to pack up sentimental and important stuff and drop them off at a good friend's house for the duration. If your mother is that volatile, you may come back to a shredded room. OP responded with, "Yeah, while I don't have my own room, I've already hidden clothes and things she doesn't like. She has a bad problem of throwing away other people's property if she doesn't like it and if she can't make you feel insecure enough to stop wearing it.